Well, and good morning, everybody, and welcome here to the Elite Sports Academy for this week's edition of the DPPG Sports Show. My name is Devin Lusney. I am sitting here alongside Mr. Dan Kernan. How are you, sir?
Devin, I'm good. How are you? It's been a while.
I know. It's been, what, almost a month?
Yeah, championship, boys Division III championship preview was the last time I was here.
Oof.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
He's been dodging us. That's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, I wanted to see what this place looked like at full capacity, and we are at that part right now.
We are at full capacity.
Yeah, it's looking good. This is a really nice facility.
It's amazing. It's a great place, great atmosphere. We've done the Titletown show, and that Monday night was packed. So it was just so much fun. I love Elite Sports Academy, no joke. And I'm not just saying that because they're allowing us to be here, but
it's a beautiful place. I mean,
they're doing a great job.
Oh, there's some Guilford kids coming through the door right here.
Oh boy. Anyways, so ladies and gentlemen, this week's show we're basically going to talk about. We're going to recap opening night for basketball in Division III, which was the other day on Friday night, and then as well as talk about what the rest of our opening week coverage schedule will look like. And then on top of that, we're going to talk about – wrong. There we are. Uh-oh, I set that up wrong. Dan was like, whoop, hello. And we'll also talk about winter sports, what our schedule looks like at this moment. So that'll be pretty fun. So without further ado, let us get going here. Hang on. See, it's been a couple of weeks for me as well. You know, Thanksgiving and all that. It took me a second to
the holiday season here really throws a wrench into scheduling. Totally
throwing me off. So let's talk about Friday night, because Friday night for Division III basketball saw Guilford boys and girls starting their season, Prospect boys and girls, Interlakes boys and girls, Newfound, and Franklin. But Franklin, this was their second game of the season because Division
4 started a week earlier.
Yeah, Division 4 started last week. So let's go through these. You know, as it says on there, Guilford had the sweep that both teams won against Winnisquam. The boys beat Winnisquam 56-41. The girls beat them 48-38, which was a closer game score-wise.
Than it probably was if you were there watching.
Yeah, I mean, well, watching the highlights from New Hampshire Sports Page, it was a pretty close game for the most part from what I saw.
For what, girls?
For the girls, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, in the last few years, unfortunately, Winnisquam girls haven't been as competitive as they would like. I mean, obviously, they got Scott Currier over at Guilford. He knows what he's doing. He's been a coach for years and years and years, so he knows Division III, rather well. So to see 48-38, that's not a bad start for first game of the year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like I said, it seemed like a good game looking at the highlights. Seemed like it was a close game. We'll see Winnisquam on Tuesday at Prospect for the girls. For the boys, it was also up until about halftime. It was a close game. I think it was 21-20 at half. Third quarter was also close, and then the fourth quarter, Guilford just kind of did Guilford things.
I mean, you have the experience of some three-time Division III state champions on that team.
Some could say 2.5, but that,
Yeah, we'll throw the COVID. I mean, the joint COVID one there.
No, but
they have experience. So, I mean, down the stretch, if you're a team that has that, senior leadership or that core that has done it before, that tends to help at the tail end of the season or in those games that realistically on paper you're probably expecting Guilford to blow Winnisquam out. I mean, Winnisquam has graduated a lot of talent over the last few years. I mean, Kevin's a really good coach, so he knows what he's doing, but I mean, Guilford's, like we said in the fall, broken record, they're the top team. You can ask any coaches in Division III, that boys team is.
What did you and Foley always say?
It's Guilford's world, and we're lucky to live in it. Yeah.
Guilford's world, we're just lucky to live in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, no, I mean, definitely. I think, like, talking to Coach Acalano pregame, during the day that day, he seemed a little concerned about some things because I guess they didn't play as well as he wanted to in the Jamboree the week before, whatever. But, I mean,
if
it's
you're gonna,
Guilford.
Exactly, and if you're going to look not so good, you want it to look not so good in games that don't count. You know what I mean? Like, and realistically,
you're saying Jamboree.
Yeah, you want. Okay. If there's going to be things where, the wheels fall off a little bit, or you're not running the plays as well as you want, or those inbound plays just aren't run as crisp as you need them to be, have it happen in early December.
Right.
You want to have it happen in a game that doesn't quite matter.
Yeah.
And kind of tweak it so that when you're going into practices prior to, this past Friday, you're giving yourself the best chance to be competitive right off the tip to get after it. I mean, Guilford's looking to win every single game they play, without question, and they're going to probably be favored in quite a few of them without having their schedule up here in front of me. But I mean, any coach right now that knows they're a really good team will tell you that they're just looking to play their best.
Right.
2 months from now.
Well, yeah.
So what happens in December? Yeah, it's great. It's a good start, but at the end of the day, you want to be at peak.
Right.
In the end of February going into playoff time. And that's where Guilford is going to be at the top, most likely.
Exactly. It's definitely a little, I don't want to say intimidating, but to the rest of the division to see a team come out game one like Guilford and after halftime be able to put, unofficially 30-something points on the board, whereas Winnisquam only put about 20, and then all of a sudden they were able to gap and then maintain, and that's a good team right out of the gate. Now let's talk end of February, like you're saying, how are they going to be?
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that's a little intimidating to the rest of the division.
Well, and they've been really good for a few years, so it's not like this is something that all of a sudden's, happening.
Right.
So the first couple of years, the first year when you have a really good team, you might be, if you're that newer coach or a coach that's been doing it for a while, you always have that little bit of a fear of coast. Right. You get to the end of the year, you're 14-1, 14-0, whatever you are, and that little thought in the back of your mind is always there. Is like, are we going to coast to the end of the season?
Right.
Are we just in that kind of like, oh, we're already into the playoffs, so we don't have to continue to work? And I don't see that Guilford team doing that. Because you've probably got a handful of football guys that lost a tough one last fall. And we're one of the very few sports at Guilford that didn't bring it home. So you're going to have a little bit more of that hunger to want to go after it again here in the winter. So I'm a little bit thankful I don't coach basketball, because that would be a team you want to play because, obviously you want to know like where you stand at one of the top teams in the division. But at the same time, you don't want to be there on that day that it clicks and they flex that muscle and they're putting up 45, 50 points in a half.
Yeah.
And they're getting their bench guys in to start the fourth quarter and you're down 35 and the clock's running.
Right.
Like that's a team that you want to play to gauge where you are, but if it's not close and you're a rebuilding-ish year, those aren't fun. Those aren't fun games.
Right. No, for sure.
They're going to be at the top. They're going to be at the top again.
For sure. And another thing, you said 50 points and a half, but Guilford's been known to do that sometimes. To think that their total for the whole game was 56, and to think that, okay, well, that's an quote-unquote an off game. Yeah,
well, and you got to credit Winnisquam to start the season. I mean, obviously they've graduated a handful of guys in the last, not just last year, but the last few years. They've had some really talented basketball players come through.
Right.
So to hold that Guilford team to 56 points total, you got to tip your cap to Winnisquam a little bit. They played some tougher defense. I mean, the Reese kids are very good basketball players.
Yeah, they're no joke.
And Guilford kids generally have to when they walk through the door, they got to duck a little bit. I mean, they got size that you just can't, some teams can't do anything with. So to hold them to 56 and lose by 15 points, on the Winnisquam side, if we're going to shift to the other side of the Lakes Region team, I mean, you're going to be happy with that result, I would think. Like the first game of the year, you're holding the defending champ to 56. You lose by 15. I mean, that's at Guilford of all places. Like that's not an easy place to go into. I mean,
so I've been told.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not at all. But for Winnisquam to battle them tough, whether it was through three quarters, the whole game, whatever it was, that's not a bad start for a team that's graduated a few guys. And Kevin's the longest tenured Division III boys coach, I think. I read that. I mean, there's a lot of turnover this year.
Right.
So I mean, he knows what he's doing. He'll get those guys going, and that's not a bad result to start the season.
No, not at all. And I mean, and like I said, overall, it was a good game. And there were points. Me as the announcer that night, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, are we going to see Winnisquam defeat Guilford? Like there were points where I was like, they're holding them, they're running with them. Because 9 times out of 10 when we cover Guilford boys basketball, even girls basketball, it's
it's a runaway.
Exactly.
It's a runaway. Yeah, especially here in the Lake. I mean, there's a lot of really talented Lakes Region teams, but at the same time, I mean, Guilford's the cream of the crop.
Exactly.
Like when they play, they blow teams out.
Right.
I don't know what I can't remember, records from year to year to year, but I can't imagine they have, if you were to say 3 regular season losses in 3 years, I would say that's probably too high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
they've just been really good. And they play it's not just a lot of the Lakes region schools. I mean, they're beating the teams down south. They're taking care of their own. I mean,
right. Exactly.
They're good. They're a good team.
Yeah, for sure. Well, either way, it was definitely a really good game between those two. Prospect Mountain played Raymond, boys away, girls at home. The boys lost by 5 points, 66-61, and the girls beat them, or the Prospect girls beat Raymond 57-14. Now, don't quote me on this, but from what I understand,
it's on film. So
well, I know. But from what I understand, and I was told that the Prospect girls team, and I should have double checked this with one of the captains, they're not full. Like, they don't have a JV team. They're very, like, I thought I heard 10 to 11 girls total. And I don't know for sure. And again,
that's not necessarily surprising, seeing how some of the other teams in our area have kind of fared with that girls basketball number.
Hang on, now I gotta.
There are some teams that over the past few years have struggled numbers wise. Right. I don't necessarily know what else Prospect has to offer. In the spring, in the winter, I mean, I'm sure it's probably just some sort of skiing. But other than that, it's basically basketball or ski. So I don't necessarily know if those girls are doing something else. I can tell you there's probably a handful of them from Prospect Mountain out here getting some work in.
Yeah.
I would say probably a lot of them.
Well, I mean, actually, I talked to four Prospect Mountain softball players.
Yeah.
Here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they play for Granite State Elite, and here they are.
So they're probably, I mean, they're doing something, but to go out there and to win the way they did.
Right.
With limited numbers, that says a lot.
I was going to say, and again, I just messaged one of the captains to see if I can get the exact number. But, like, you're right. I mean, unfortunately, what I do know is there's no JV team.
Yeah.
So that says something numbers-wise in general that you don't have enough to
you've probably at the most 14, which is too much for a varsity team.
Right.
Realistically.
But not enough for varsity and varsity.
Yeah, it's a tough.
That's like the swing. Awkward point. Awkward point.
Exactly. That's the spot where you don't want to be in, but at the same time, like, it's good for playing time now.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts you down the road because you don't necessarily have a feeder. But I don't know anything about. I haven't seen Prospect Mountain girls, I think, in a while. I've never seen Raymond. I haven't seen Raymond play boys or girls in a long time, if at all.
I was going to say, the only time I've ever seen Raymond, I think, is like against Guilford. So I don't think there's a good measuring stick right there.
It's been a while. If we were going to look at all these scores here, and just any of them from all the Lakes regions, and we're talking about Guilford, Prospect, Laconia, Interlakes, Newfound, Franklin, the boys Prospect Mountain score stands out the most because that's a team in the last 5 years that hasn't been competitive. They haven't won a lot of games, and when they do play, they aren't playing a lot of close ones.
Right.
And to be in a battle with Raymond and lose by 5 and score 61 points,
right,
that almost wants you to think that it's starting to change there, because they were a really decent basketball school a handful of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You just almost want that to be starting to change. Just for the culture there, because the winter teams haven't been competitive, and you generally feel bad for that because they're a Lakes Region team. You'd want them to be competitive, so to see them lose by 5 to Raymond. I mean, I'm hoping. I haven't looked at the Interlake schedule, so I don't know if I'll see them at all. But if they can continue this and figure out a way to get onto the other side of it, that's not a bad start. It's not a bad start to their season after dealing with some adversity the last few years.
Now, just an update. The captain said that she thinks it's 9. She'll have to double check.
9 total.
But that hurts.
I mean,
when you have 5 on the court.
Yeah, you're playing.
That's 4 on the bench. You're
playing 4v4 in practices. You're running 5v4 when you're going through drills. So offensively, they're going to look good in practice.
Yeah,
you're always going to have one open. You know who's in that similar? Who's in that similar boat? Not to jump down is Newfound girls.
Really?
Yeah, I did the scoreboard there the other day.
And I'd say you saw them in
I
person.
saw them on Friday, yeah. So they did a JV game, and Newfound had 5 girls, and that was it.
Like total for JV or in?
That was the only total they had for that half. I don't know if they were missing girls to being sick
for the JV
yes,
team.
for the JV team. I don't know if they were missing for illness or anything of that sort. The varsity team had 7, and some of them played in that JV game. Oh. Same thing. Like I know there's a lot of sickness going around. Flu is big now, so you don't want to be like, all right, maybe they only have 10 or 11, 12 throughout the whole season. But that's a team that over the last 10 years has been extremely competitive on the girls' side.
Right.
Who's had a lot of numbers on the girls' side.
Right.
And to see them the first game of the year with not even 12 total, it was a little bit shocking. I mean, they took care of business in the varsity game, but
still,
numbers-wise, when I walked into the gym and saw that, it was a little bit. I thought it was going to be on our side. Mm-hmm. I figured, we just don't have that many because that's something that's happened the last few years. Yeah, we probably only have 15 or 16 maybe. So there's some girls that'll swing if they play JVs. But for the most part, like to see less than 12, it's just something that's becoming
common.
Yeah, it's becoming common. It's becoming common, and there's not really a whole lot of other options.
Well, yeah, and it stinks because it almost goes along the lines of like what I've said in the past about like, and I say vicious lightly, but that vicious cycle of, well, I don't want to play on a team that's not winning. Well, why aren't we winning? Because you're not playing, or because we don't have the numbers.
Yeah, you have a lack of numbers, and that hurts your talent. And
it's just like when I was doing that podcast, the Uncensored podcast, which is still available to listen to if you want to go, scratch your ears out for an hour and a half. But when I was doing that, I had a whole episode on it, and it really is a cycle that's just really difficult to break because you have the situation where you have the freshman, oh, well, I don't want to play for a team that's not making the playoffs. Okay, understandable, but they're not making the playoffs because they don't have the people. At the end of the day, like at the end of the day, you like, let's say for Prospect, Ella Mashazik, she's one of their 3-sport athletes at Prospect. She's really good at what she does in any sport, but she's only as good as the other 4 on the court. And if there's only 8 total more in that whole program, well, those 4 are going to get tired, everybody, and it's just going to...
And winter's the longest.
Right.
I mean, it's the longest sport season by far at the high school level.
And it's also...
You start at Thanksgiving, you go through Thanksgiving break,
right.
You go through Christmas break, you're playing in your Christmas tournaments, you're playing 16, 17, 18 regular season games.
Right.
Then you're playing another 3, 4, 5 during Christmas. So you're playing about 20, 22, not counting playoffs if you're fortunate enough to make it there.
Right. And not to
mention... That's tough on 14 player teams.
Right.
Because... you're on that situation of 8 or 9. I mean, you're probably going 7 deep, 8 maybe, 9 if you're in foul trouble.
Right.
Realistically.
Right.
If you only have 9 or 10 to choose from. Come end of January, when you're playing 3-game weeks, because we've shortened the game schedule, but still playing the same number of games. So instead of it being 2-game weeks, it's some are 3-game weeks.
Right.
And where we're getting into some, influenza, you're going to have some games that are postponed or canceled or weather. So you might have a 4-game week down the road. That's tough, even on high school kids, to be like, all right, here's 3 games this week. You're not practicing.
Right.
I mean, if you have 10 kids, you're going to walk through. You'll do a walkthrough to get you through your practices so you can go through what you need to go through.
And not risk an injury or somebody getting tired or being extra tired.
You got to save your legs going into those varsity games, where in December, open it up.
Right.
Open it up. Everybody's, for the most part, knock on wood, healthy.
Right.
And they should be in shape. They should have been going through their endurance at the beginning of the season, especially in a 9 or 10 player team, because you got to play a lot. So December's fine. Middle of January is where you'll start to see that little bit of a seesaw, because you're playing a lot. There's a lot of running on your legs. It's tough to maintain that.
And then, of course, on top of that, and again, knock on wood, nobody is right now. Nobody's hurt, but then you throw in an injury.
Yeah, you throw in an injury, you throw in sickness, you throw in bad grades, you throwing in any sort of variable to that.
Right, exactly.
Your 9-player team could quickly go to 7, and then what happens?
And unfortunately, for most, or not most, but there's always that one team that happens when they're hitting the Guilfords and the Belmonts and the bigger teams,
the tougher teams. Yes, absolutely.
And then unfortunately, it's that moment that defines your playoff schedule. It's those games.
It always comes down to that, yes.
Yeah,
usually.
like it's like at the end of the regular season, well, had we been healthy at this point, had we had, had we played Guilford a little bit tougher, or Belmont a little tougher, or whatever, we could be, instead of the 16th seed, hoping we make it in, the 13th seed.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah. And not to mention, and I don't want to bring up, the mental health conversation, but the winters here in New Hampshire, they're not that great unless you're a skier, snowboarder.
Exactly. I mean,
or
if
you ice skate outside.
If you enjoy the snow, you love it. If you're tolerant of snow, it's okay. If you hate the snow, it's a long 3 months.
Exactly.
I mean, we're in a good spot right now. If it stayed like this and we didn't get any snow, man, I'd be a happy camper.
Give me at least a snowstorm on Christmas Eve.
Nope, I'd be okay with that.
Snowstorm Christmas Eve. Nope. Give me a white Christmas. It can be gone the 26th. I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care if they go out there with the leaf blowers and start blowing.
Hey, we're 100 and some odd days away from baseball season starting. I don't want any snow whatsoever. Let's get after it.
My dad brought up a theory the other day, and I won't get into this too much because we want to keep talking here. My dad brought up a theory that the seasons are shifting. That he remembers when he was a soccer coach, September being in sweatshirts, pants. Now it's November.
That's usually what happens when I'm at Prospect Mountain.
Yeah, that's true.
Regardless of the time of year.
But I'm just saying, he say that the seasons are shifting, and in my head I'm going, the school year's not going to shift. We're not going to have a spring sports season eventually if that theory is true.
Well, fortunately enough, last year we didn't have a lot of snow late.
Right.
So it's been. I mean, last year we didn't have a whole lot of postponed games due to inclement weather.
Right.
So. Knock on wood.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
That was a nice season last year. Not having to reschedule everything.
Exactly. And I mean, not that, knock on wood again, not that we've been dealing with COVID a lot lately, but the last 2 years you were dealing with COVID, you were dealing with weather, you were dealing with all of that.
Yes.
So to hopefully be on the other side of that post-COVID, you're just hoping that if you do have to reschedule, it's because the kids had a snow day.
Last year it was a breath of fresh air coming out of the COVID season, where every other day it was, hey, this game got moved. Hey, this game got postponed. We're going to figure it out. Oh, we have to wait 14 days.
And winter sports always get hit the hardest because you were always, some of those teams or schools are always mask. So to not be in that spot right now, it's good. It's refreshing. So nice. It's almost back to normal here.
So nice walking into a gym, hold the mask up, and they go, nope, and it's like, sweet, and you put that thing away.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
Yeah.
But anyways, no, I mean, definitely, though, for sure, what you were saying about, the shorter rosters and stuff like that. It, by the way, confirmed it is 9 at Prospect.
That's rough.
But, I mean, I will say, though, and I haven't seen Prospect. Last time I saw them was the playoff game against Monadnock last year, and obviously they graduated off some kids. But we did a photo shoot with them last week or 2 weeks ago, seeing some of the other athletes I've seen for, like, volleyball and soccer and then, of course, the basketball players who come in for the one season and something in the spring, they seem like they're solid. They seem like they even though they only have 9, they're 9 concrete players, maybe 7 with a couple freshmen who need that.
Yeah, I mean,
need
it's
that
always
grooming and
you always have that growing pains as a freshman coming in. You can count on one hand the amount of times that you see a freshman in this area come in and be. You can insert them in at any point. Usually it takes, a 2 or 3 week period of, coming off the bench, starting the second half, doing stuff like that to get them ready for a varsity sport, regardless of the sport. I mean, it's easier in the fall for soccer because, I mean, you can hide them. The field is a lot bigger, so you can tuck in a couple here and there if they're not necessarily varsity ready.
Well, for
basketball, you can't really hide,
right? Because
you have to defend on one end, and you've got to be competent to catch the ball and run the play on the other one, and you almost have to value every single possession you have,
right?
Even in a non-shot clock area like we're in. I mean, every possession matters,
right?
And you might not think about it first, second, third quarter, but when you're getting to the fourth and you lose a game by, say 5, the coach on the way back is like, all right, where can we clean up some of those empty possessions where we turned the ball over, we took some bad shots, where in the second quarter you're like, it's whatever, we live with that.
Right.
Well, in the fourth quarter when you lose by game by 3, you're like, all right, where can we take this and change it so that we can value every single possession? And teenagers are hard to get that thought across to.
Right.
But
right. I mean, and also not to mention, you mentioned the hiding in the fall and things like that, but also a lot of these schools have those summer soccer programs that when you're coming into opening day, 2 weeks earlier, you saw them already. Whereas basketball, you're going from the summer to December. A lot can happen in those 3 months.
Exactly. And some schools do some fall workouts. I don't necessarily know if Interlakes did or not. I didn't hear any of the kids talking about basketball, so I don't know.
But you can change a lot, especially like with the spring. You see them in June, then all of a sudden, or in August, and then all of a sudden in April, it's like, well, the kid grew up,
Exactly.
This happened, that happened. All of a sudden, they don't want to play baseball, they don't, or they're all of a sudden they're a god, because they've been working.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's such a toss up.
A lot can happen in that off period, regardless of the season that you're coaching in. Like it can be, and it happens in every sport. It doesn't matter. Name the sport. I mean, when you walk away, if you're a coach that doesn't necessarily see them for 6 months. They're teenagers. They're going to grow a ton in 6 months.
Right.
So, I mean, it's most of the time it's helpful, and you learn from it, and they learn from it. That's what they're trying to do.
Right. Exactly. Well, either way, I'm excited to see Prospect. I know we got the girls on Tuesday, and then the boys, I think we'll see them at the holiday tournament in Guilford. But we'll talk about that schedule-wise in a little bit. Laconia, they're D2. Their first games are next week. The girls on Monday, the boys on Tuesday. I didn't write down if they were home or away. I know the girls are home. I think the boys might be home too, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we talked a little bit about Interlakes. The boys hosted we're at.
Yeah, you just got your notes.
I got them mixed up. Sorry, the
girls did host Newfound.
Yeah, sorry, the girls were at Newfound or at Interlakes, and the boys were at Newfound. Boys were 52-39 Interlakes, girls 37-25 Newfound. Of course, we already just talked about Newfound. And then Franklin, they both went to Pittsfield because of...
it's Division 4. Nobody has... Very rarely do you have a JV team in Division 4.
And not to mention, I'm not going to lie, I like these doubleheader things because we're doing Fridays at Franklin against Groveton, and it's like, sweet.
You have varsity right there back to back.
Set up once, cover both teams, sweet.
Yeah.
So, but either way, they both played at both girls and boys teams played at Pittsfield. The boys Franklin team lost to Pittsfield 43-42, and the girls beat Pittsfield 50-20. They both teams now have a 1-1 record.
That's not a bad start.
Nope.
I mean, so we can cycle back to Newfound and Interlakes a little bit.
I was gonna say, go ahead. I just wanted to get through the scores real quick.
No, yeah, absolutely. Just a brief, because we just talked about Newfound and their numbers. That was a competitive game for both teams. Newfound's girls teams usually top of the division every year. Even with the limited numbers, they still were very solid. For the Interlakes side, it's been a tough few years for that program. And some of the games normally against Newfound in the past haven't been competitive. Those are blowouts as soon as they get into the building. And it was competitive. We had the lead in the fourth quarter. Going into it. Unfortunately for us, we couldn't score in the fourth. And that makes it tough to win a game.
Yeah.
But all in all, I mean, they're starting a freshman. They're starting 2 sophomores. They're starting one freshman, 2 sophomores, and 3 seniors. So they've got a little bit of leadership there from the team's past, but they're playing some youth. And you're going to go as far as your youth will take you, like we've talked about. I mean, you're throwing a freshman into the fire. Go get it.
Right.
And
see how you do.
Yeah, I mean, there were some mistakes. I mean, both teams were a little bit sloppy. So, that's stuff you're going to see the first game of the year.
I was going to say, opening night,
yeah,
it's expected.
I mean, you're going to be a little bit on the sloppier side. From my perspective, it looked better than it has in the past. So that helps a little bit going forward. So you just hope that they can build off of this and just be like, hey, we were in a competitive game against a really good Division III girls program. Hopefully, I don't know who they play next week. Hopefully, it starts to, a little bit of a trend where you're getting better and better and better every day, so that you're playing competitive basketball towards middle of January, early February.
Right, exactly. Now, who did you say you're not sure who they play? Newfound?
Either one. I know
I'll look.
I'm not 100% sure. I know the girls are away. I think I've got 2 boys games next week.
Yeah, so girls for Interlakes at Belmont on Tuesday, at St. Thomas on Friday, and then at Guilford the 19th. I think that's the following Monday or Tuesday.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I think it's Tuesday.
But
at Guilford, another battle from. I'm sure Courier will like to run that one up if he can get a chance.
For Newfound,
I don't blame him.
They're going to host Berlin on Tuesday, at Guilford on Friday, and then White Mountains the following week.
Yeah, that's probably right up. Yeah, that's probably right up to Christmas break. Yeah.
The 22nd, so that'd be Thursday. The 23rd is a Friday.
Yeah.
Because then, of course, Christmas Eve's that Saturday. For the boys.
Yeah, and I mean, the boys game 52-39. I know Jesse over at Newfound really well, Coach Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And they had a really, really good team last year. He was Coach of the Year. He had a really good squad, and they graduated a lot of, some decent talent. And so you're going to go through a little bit of those growing pains as you start the, beginning of the season, playing with some new pieces that may or may not have gotten a lot of experience last year on the varsity level. But if there's a coach that's ready for that, it's Jesse.
Right.
He does outstanding with those guys. Even 2 years ago, when we beat him at the buzzer or something like that, he coached from the very beginning to the end. And I really like Jesse and what he's doing over there at Newfound. I think they got a really great coach over there. And there's if I was an AD, he would be the one that I would want to take to coach a basketball team, regardless of division. I think he would. I think he does an outstanding job over there. For the Interlake side, we've got guys who've come back to basketball for the first time in a few years. We have a new coach. We've got some numbers again. I don't want to necessarily say that there's life in the program, but there's a little bit of a fresh start. Mm-hmm. And so you're getting we've got a couple of guys back in Rafe Bean and TJ Bailey who took a year off that are back on the varsity side. They've got a lot of athleticism, which definitely helps you in basketball.
Right.
I just see the score. I didn't hear a whole lot about it. I'm sure I'll find out tonight when I see some of those guys. But I mean, for the most part, that's not a bad start for a team that won 6 or 7 games last year for us.
Right.
So, that's not a bad start. I'm sure we've got St. Thomas at home for boys. I think you had said.
Yeah, so for you guys, for Interlakes.
So if it's Belmont at home and then probably St. Thomas at home if we're following the girls' schedule. Those are 2 very tough teams. I know Belmont's got a new coach in Tony Martinez. Mm-hmm. And Richie Perez over there as an assistant, a little shout out. They got athleticism, they have size.
That should be a good game. I'm hoping that
it's going
to be competitive.
I'm hoping it's competitive too. Anakin's 6'6", it seems like.
Seems like it.
He's a big kid.
He keeps growing every year.
Yeah, and I don't think we have anybody who's going to match up size for size with him, so it's going to be a battle box of him out. But Belmont's got athleticism all over, and from 1 through 12.
That's true.
1 through 12. I've seen a little bit of some highlights of stuff from them, and that's going to be a really, really good team. The only unfortunate thing for them is Guilford's in Division 3.
Yeah.
So I think when those 2 teams battle, that'll be one of the better games in Division 3. But Belmont, and then going to St. Thomas at home. We talk about it in the fall as private schools. Or public-private, whatever you want to call it. That's a tough atmosphere to be thrown in.
Yeah.
It's early in the year; you never know. But
they also got Coach Morissette.
They do it. They do it.
He's new, but he seems like he's going to bring a lot to the program.
Yeah.
Just talking to him in general, he seems like that.
He's a great guy. I talked to him this fall.
I was going to say, amazingly great guy. I love working with him as an athletic director, but you can just tell that he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
You could just, he kind of it's like with Coach Acalano. You talk to him in the fall, you could just tell he's just already thinking, hoops.
Which is wild because Morissette's son plays for the Miami Marlins organization.
Really?
Yeah, he was a BC kid. Got drafted out of Boston College.
Fun fact.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
little baseball knowledge every time we have a show.
But yeah, I know for sure. I mean, that St. Thomas game, we'll have it. We'll be there. We're streaming that game. So I think that'll be fun regardless. I think it'll be a good game, but definitely some storylines to think about, and it's, I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out how it goes, to be honest, because I think that's going to be a good game. I think it'll be a good test for you guys because, you guys played Newfound, who we were just saying is a good, solid basketball team. But then Belmont, I think, is one of your top preseason.
Yeah, I mean, if Belmont's not a 5 seed or higher, I'll be shocked.
Right. Like,
and
exactly.
that's probably not enough respect on the Belmont team.
Right.
Realistically.
Right. Exactly.
Like they're young. They're on the younger side.
But they got some solid returners coming back.
They do have some solid returners. They're on the younger side. They have a new coach. 5 seed or lower, you're shocked.
Right.
You're shocked by that because I think they're going to be in that top 4 and not knowing a whole lot of other Division III boys teams besides Guilford, obviously. I mean, I'm sure there's some southern schools that'll be decent. Like Kearsarge is usually good. I think they're younger. I know Campbell's usually solid. Monadnock. I mean, you name it. On the southern side, it's going to be Guilford Belmont.
Right.
And then be Guilford Belmont again, like it was in fall. And
unfortunately, it'll probably be like a quarterfinal game, so we won't actually see them in the championship.
Well, exactly. But like that Belmont team is going to be solid. They're going to be solid. I don't know Tony that well, but I know,
a great guy.
And I know Richie really well. He went through that Belmont system. If there's not a better kid to have in your program than Richie, he's going to give back a ton of knowledge to that group.
Right.
And they're going to be solid. They're going to be very solid. That'd be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one for us to keep up with because I don't necessarily think it'll be a track meet, but it could very well turn into a track meet rather quickly, and I don't know if we're going to have the weapons to keep up with that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, and I'm intrigued, like looking ahead into like schedule here. You play Belmont. And I say you because you're the.
I mean, I'm an Interlakes guy through and through.
Interlakes plays Belmont at Interlakes on the 13th, and then they play them at Belmont in January, but the 26th. Like it's deep.
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, how the teams have grown over a month-ish period.
Exactly.
I mean, don't get me wrong. So they play Interlakes schedule is Belmont, St. Thomas. Do they play anybody else before that Christmas tournament or no?
Prospect Mountain. Boys at Prospect.
And if Prospect is, turning the page here in their program, those are 3 decent teams playing, going into the Guilford tournament, right, which we haven't been a part of in a long, long time.
Welcome back.
Exactly. I mean, we were over at Farmington, not to take a knock at Farmington because they run a really good program over there for their Christmas tournament. The Guilford's a tournament to be in.
Right.
I mean, there's some top teams in there.
Not to mention the title sponsor of the tournament's pretty cool too.
DPPG, an award-winning
production company.
Yeah, production company.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I mean,
you work for an award-winning production company now.
Yeah. Pat myself on the back.
Put that on the resume.
I will. But, you know what I mean? Like that. Those are 3 good teams to play going into that Christmas tournament. I'm not 100% sure, who's in there besides probably the Guilford, the Belmonts of the world. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be some tough teams in that.
Well, there are a couple Division II teams as well, like Plymouth and Kingswood. I think Kingswood's D2.
Kingswood is D2, yes.
And Laconia.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so.
And Laconia's boys team has been competitive for a handful of years, right, both Division II and III. So, I mean, those 5 teams we just listed right there, those are good. Those are really good programs.
Right. And then on top of that, we mentioned Prospect, Interlakes. I have it listed on the back of the sheet because we were going to talk about it.
Oh, Winnisquam's in there, Prospect Mountain, Kingswood. Yeah, I mean, those are
heavy hitters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say who's, Belmont's not in there. Huh?
Oh, yeah. So Belmont is playing in the Farmington one.
Really? They're going to win that one. Mm. Write it down right now. December.
Write it down right now.
December, what date are we at? December 11th. Belmont wins Farmington tournament.
If he's a betting man.
Quote me. Put it down on paper.
Put it on paper.
I'll reach out to Richie tonight. Tell him he's got to win it.
No, but I mean, and I don't know the reason for them not playing in the Guilford one. And it's not necessarily my place to go and ask the questions.
That's a tough tournament. If you leave that tournament, I mean, they've been running it for years and years and years.
Almost 50.
If you leave that Guilford tournament and that your spot gets filled, it takes a lot to get back into it.
Right.
And so if you're a team that has been, competitive for years and years and years, you're going to stay in that tournament.
Right.
If you're a team that isn't that competitive, you're going to go find either a smaller tournament or a less competitive tournament to give yourself the best chance to stay in the right mental space going into the second half of your season. The Guilford tournament is the tournament. They are very, very competitive in that team,
right.
in that grouping. So once you're out, it's tough to get back in.
Exactly.
And that very well could be, not that Belmont hasn't been competitive in a handful of years, because they have been.
Right.
But, I mean, you never know. There's so many tournaments between, Farmington, Guilford, and God knows what's south. Like there's
D1, D2 tournaments down there.
And I mean, realistically, I mean, I know Martinez has taken that Belmont team all over to get competitive early and quickly. So it wouldn't be shocking to see how they fare throughout the whole year. Let alone, I wouldn't be shocked to see him in a Concord tournament somewhere down the road.
Right. No, I mean, and that's great for the Belmont program, because you have, like, he's not just saying, okay, we're just going to wash, rinse, repeat. He's saying, let's go try new things.
Yeah.
And even if he goes and tries it and goes, nope, don't like it, I want to go back, well, then, at least he tried.
They just beat White Mountain, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was that close?
I'm not sure. Hang on.
I know White Mountain's graduated some players of late, and they have a new coach as well.
47-22.
Not close. Not close.
Confirmed.
And that was at Belmont?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough bus ride for White Mountain. But, I mean, they've graduated a few kids. They have a new coach as well, one of 7 in Division III for boys. Out of 23 or 24 teams. I mean, that's a third of the league or division is new. It's tough to figure out who's playing what style, as opposed to, back in the day where you can just be like, oh, this school only plays zone.
Right.
Like a newer coaches, it'll take a little bit for the writing to get out there to everybody, but it won't take too long. A couple games, handful, you'll be able to see tendencies and.
Well, yeah, that, and also especially in the world of game film.
Yeah, I mean, every game, and every coach is recording.
I was gonna say, somebody filmed that game last night or 2 nights ago at Belmont and White Mountains, and it got put on Huddle or it got put on YouTube, and everybody else is already watching.
I think 603 Ball might have been on that.
I think they.
Do you follow them at all?
They did. Yeah, they did highlights.
They're a big sponsor of the Farmington tournament. I watch a handful of Christmas games over there last year to support my baseball soccer guys on that squad. They do some. I follow them a little bit, not as much as like DPPG, but I mean, yours is a lot more local.
Thanks.
Ball is 603 Ball is just like. Yeah, I mean, I get Division I and Division II are really good, but they're covered by New Hampshire Sports Page religiously.
But Ball 603 is also doing a great job this year now expanding out into the college stuff, even if it's just like we went and took photos.
Anything basketball, they're all over
exactly.
in New Hampshire. So
definitely happy to see it, because they came from that, if I'm not mistaken, they came from that holiday tournament at Farmington last year. Like, it was one of those, hey, we want you to come live stream. Can you figure this out? And they did.
They did every
game. Yeah, and every game it got better. Like, they were like, okay, day 2, we have 2 cameras. Day 5, we have 5 cameras. An interview. Like, it was great to see. I mean, and they're great now. Like, they're just great. And I can tell you that we're actually building a partnership with them as well.
Smart.
Yeah, so it's. KJ reached out to me. So
well, I mean, the more, and you know how it is. I mean, the more you can get seen, the better off you are.
Right.
And I mean, you got a really good niche here, especially in the Lakes region, because you can turn around, throw a rock, you're going to hit 3 or 4 different high schools within a 5-mile radius. 10-mile radius, because it's New Hampshire and it takes 20 minutes to get anywhere. But you know what I mean? Like, there's so many schools in the Lakes region that you don't have to go to Berlin. You don't have to go to White Mountain. You don't have to go to Concord.
Right.
You don't even have to go to Plymouth.
Right.
And that's 20 minutes up the road. And, you're covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 schools right here. And there's some that we haven't even talked about.
Right.
Like, we don't have the Moulton Boroughs of the world. You don't have, Belmont. You don't have,
No, I mean, for sure. Like, I wanted to add Moulton Borough. I wanted to go to more Plymouth. I wanted to go more of that. But then it made it to the point where we were thinning out the schedule too much. That it was like, like, I had a conversation with an athlete the other day. They were like, well, you only came to 3 of our games. And I was like, well, okay, so let's put it this way. We have 60 games and 6 schools.
In a week.
Yeah, well, hold on. So you have 60 games in a week, 60 games in a season, 6 schools. Okay, so that mathematically 10 games per school. Okay, great. When you have a school like Guilford that has 5 teams, now you go 10 to 5, divided by 5, that's 2 games per team to be even.
Exactly.
And that's even if the schedule allows it. You know, so definitely it's like it got to the point where we were just like, we can't add more.
Well, and it's easier,
like
we had talked about, like we talked about earlier. I mean, it's easier when you have the Franklin boys girls varsity doubleheaders. Molten Borough's going to do that.
Right.
For the most part, then Molten Borough's going to do that.
Right. And that's great for us because you send one crew, 2 games, and I can go somewhere else.
Exactly. But that doesn't happen. Like if you cover Prospect Mountain girls, that's 1 game.
Right.
That's 1 game.
That's it.
They're not playing boys and girls. They're playing 1 girls game.
Right.
Day's over.
Right.
What are you going to do? You can't go anywhere else. It's not like soccer or fall. Right? It's not like fall.
My goodness, love those. 3 o'clock soccer starts, 7 o'clock football.
Everybody in the Lakes region, for the most part, it's kind of, in my time in the AD background, a lot of the Lakes region schools got away from the 5 and 6:30 starts, or the 6 and 7:30 starts like it used to be.
Well, that's what Winnisquam's doing now.
20 years ago. That's what everybody did in the Lakes region. They played a JV game at 6 o'clock, and then you had your varsity game at like 7 and 7:30 because that's where everybody was. You want to pack that building.
I was going to say, prime time.
But now, because for any ADs that are listening, they didn't want to stay that late. So you play the game at 4:30. Then you play your varsity at 6, and you're done at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Right.
You can go home. So if every school is playing 4:30 and 6, you don't have any opportunity to go from one varsity game to the other because you don't have the luxury of in the fall where you have soccer at 3:30, volleyball at 6, football at 7 somewhere because they're playing all in different locations and stuff like that. Like in the winter, you're stuck at the mercy of whatever the indoor time is. So if you're going, the only way you're going to cover more than 1 game in a day is if you split your crew.
Right.
And some days that's easier than others.
Yeah, I mean, and or if you have 2 ice hockey teams that call the same arena home, and they both have home games, so they play back to back.
That's yes.
Laconia was going to
that's a Saturday only.
Right.
Exactly.
Although no, we do have a couple Wednesday night ones where it's like 4 and 6.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but hey, we'll take it.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, but then but most high school basketball teams,
right,
public, aren't playing on Saturday.
Right.
Occasionally, there might be one if you have to make it up, but weekends are usually prep days. They're usually prep school days where most officials are covering your private schools.
Right.
Whereas regular season for basketball in the high school level at the public side, it's Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, depending on boys, girls, if they're not playing on the same day?
Typically, historically, it's Tuesday, Fridays, because you usually have your Friday night basketball games.
Yeah.
But either way, I get what you mean. Like you're not playing on the weekends. You're not.
Basketball's usually off, and then hockey has basically had the stranglehold of Wednesday, Saturday for years and years and years, which is fun.
Night hockey.
I like it. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, Laconia Ice Rink's not far.
Yeah.
The only negative is, our co-op is with 3 Lakes region teams. So your home games are, your only other team you're playing that's local is Belmont Guilford.
Right.
Or maybe Kearsarge Plymouth if they're still a co-op, But they can play, some days they're playing at Plymouth State, and then other days they're playing on the Lebanon side of things.
Right.
So it's tough to get to those, but
tough to follow for sure.
Yeah.
But I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I will say, and this is obviously a conversation for another day as far as the co-op things, but that does make it look, I get it in the sense that you don't have the numbers, so it's easier to say, hey, let's team up. You're 10 and my 10. Well, then now we have 20. I get that. But it does make it a little difficult as a fan because now you have 3 teams in 1 rink, which is fine, but that's the same thing on the other side of the state. So there is no team in between. It's, you're going across to Lebanon, Stevens, Mount Royal Academy.
Yeah, or you're going to, Pembroke Campbell.
Right.
Or what's the other one? What's the Conval co-op there? That's down in almost Massachusetts.
Right. No, I think isn't it
Winchendon or whatever.
Yeah, isn't it in Isn't
yeah,
it?
That's what
it's in Massachusetts.
Yeah, they play in Massachusetts. yeah. But and that's the weird thing about hockey, and it's always been like that. Is you know, in your basketball and your football and whatever, you have everybody basically has their own field.
Right.
Hockey, you're not just building rinks for one team. Like, it's just unreasonable. So for, you know, those 5 schools to host in Laconia, I mean, Laconia and Winnisquam probably wouldn't have a team without us. And Laconia and, you know, but like take any of those and take one off.
Right.
Probably not having enough.
Right.
Name it. Laconia falls off, we don't have a team.
Right.
Winnisquam falls off, we don't have a team. Interlinks falls off, we don't have a team.
I was going to say, well, what was it? It was originally 3 schools. It was Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes, Moltenboro,
and then
Belmont Guilford.
Yep.
And then Moltenboro, I guess, didn't have enough, or they decided
we had a full winter season where Moltenboro was the lead school in that co-op without a single athlete on it. So
that'll do it.
they were doing all the scheduling, they were doing all the rescheduling, they were doing all the bus scheduling for no benefit to them. So you understand why they bow out. Like you absolutely have to. But when that happens, we end up on the not the short stick, but like you basically have a home but no real team or home at the same time. So I know there were talks of, you know, a handful of with us combining with a handful of different teams to make it work, numbers wise, not only to stay in the Division III, but to just kind of like still have enough kids for hockey. And I don't know how many kids there are for Interlinks. I can't imagine it's many. If it's more than 6, I'll be shocked. I just don't think there's that many. I mean, there's a lot of kids that play, but there's just not a lot of kids in the Interlake School District that play. Right. And I can't talk for Laconia and Winnisquam. I mean, the only Laconia kid that I know plays hockey is JP. That's it. And I only know JP from soccer. Like, I couldn't tell you any of the other guys that could potentially play. Like, I know there's a handful of my guys from soccer that play, but that's a tough sport. I mean, 6 play on the ice at the same time, but if you know, like we were talking about earlier, if you have a team of 10, that's a lot of ice time.
Well, I was going to say, wasn't it, I thought it might have been LWI last year that at one point with injury and sickness and vacations and stuff, they showed up to a game with like 7 players.
Yeah.
And it was like, welp.
And I mean,
that hurts.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
at the mercy. And I mean, and for the non-hockey fan, per se, the travel that these guys do to go to games isn't absurd. To them, that's normal.
Right.
But, like, for you and I to, like, go watch them play down in, like, I watched them play last year with some Conant team. They were playing down at Keene, like Keene Ice Arena. Drove all the way down there. We lost by a goal. But that's normal. Whereas, like, for us going from Interlakes to Belmont, that's like a nice trip. But for them to drive from Laconia Ice Rink to Keene, it's a normal day at the office because when they're growing up at 7, 8, 9, 10, they're getting in their car at 3 o'clock in the morning for a 6 a.m. skate.
Right.
Hockey parents are, that's, I don't want to use the word insanity so that I don't want to upset anybody. But like when you sign on the line to play hockey, you're agreeing I'm traveling all over to go play hockey.
Right.
Because it's the same kind of thing that you get started with younger with your co-op. And then when you get into high school, you have a little bit smaller of a co-op, but you're still traveling. I mean, there aren't very many just one school teams anymore.
Right.
At least in Division III. I don't know. I think Kingswood's still by themselves.
Yeah.
And they might.
Kennett, another one. That's still by themselves.
But like Berlin's not by themselves anymore. It's Berlin-Gorham.
No, but I've only ever known them as Berlin-Gorham.
Well, when they first came down from Division I, they were just Berlin.
Okay. I was going to say, when I
started... But that's a power. That's a powerhouse. That's Canada
when I started in high school. That's Canada up there.
It is.
Well, I started high school in 2014. It was Berlin-Gorham. Like, I've only ever known them as Berlin-Gorham. But
they're going to produce the next Wayne Gretzky up there. I mean, it's walking and skating, like, hand in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very competitive. That's another one that we don't talk about a lot because it's not a Lakes Region school, but they're in the same boat as Guilford boys basketball. Right. I'm pretty sure they've won 3 in a row.
Right.
Or looking for 3 in a row or something like that. They've had some really good teams.
Yeah. No, I mean, ever since I started following hockey my freshman year, it was always Berlin-Gorham and BUG. You know, usually, more or less.
Yeah, those two. I mean, you can throw in one of the southern schools here and there, but
right. Kennett went on a run there before I became a high school kid.
Yeah.
You know, and I know they did because on the back of their jerseys they got the 6 New Hampshire logos to represent their state titles. Talk about intimidating.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I don't think they've added to that lately.
No, I don't think so either. But either way, I don't even know how we got onto talking about ice hockey.
I think we were. It was just one
whatever.
of those next things on the docket.
I was gonna say, so let's move on then, because we've done one segment of 3, and it's 56 minutes into the broadcast.
We're good. That's normal.
Yeah, but we don't have the third guy here.
I know.
I was thinking you and I were gonna be quick today, and it's like, no,
I haven't
never
seen
mind.
Foley in a hot minute either.
I know. What the heck?
He's working on his card business.
I'm gonna tell him. So we have a banner here in the facility, and it has our names written on it, like permanently. I'm gonna tell him that one day I'm gonna bring in a piece of duct tape if he doesn't show up, and just put it right over his name. Just be like, "You're out."
Is that why you didn't play the normal intro this morning?
Because what are we gonna do? And
hey, you know what?
From New Jersey, the guy who's not here.
I will say I was a little disappointed. I didn't get to listen to my Timmy Trumpet in the morning.
Sorry.
I'll put it in my car on the way home.
Yeah. Just hit play, repeat. Anyways, moving on. Opening week schedule. Let's continue to talk about this. And this is just our coverage. I want to put that out there. I don't want anyone out there to sit there and say, oh, it's just these games happening this week. No. There are more games. But this is what we got coming up for our schedule. On Tuesday. Monday, we don't have anything. On Tuesday, we got girls basketball at Prospect against Winnisquam. On Thursday, we got our first ice hockey regular season game. Laconia, Winnisquam, Inch Lakes host Belmont, Guilford, which is always fun because it's both teams call it home.
Oh, and all those guys know each other.
Exactly that, and also all the fans come because it's a quote on.
It's
no
a
matter
home.
what
It's
team,
a home
game.
Yeah,
even though in the schedule, Laconia is the home team and Belmont Guilford's the away team. But then on Thursday, we got boys basketball at Inch Lakes, St. Thomas taking on the Lakers. On Friday, we got a doubleheader between Groveton and Franklin, girls at 5 and the boys at 6:30. And then on Saturday, we end the week with another ice hockey game, Belmont Guilford's home opener against Sanborn Epping. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for the rest of this week. And it's a good mix. Only 2 ice hockey games, though. Not going to lie. One of my favorite winter sports is ice hockey.
Well, I mean,
but
on Wednesday, Saturday, there's not a whole lot of basketball.
Right.
So you're going to be at the rink more often than not.
Oh, yeah.
On those 2 days. I mean, the other ones, we've already talked about Prospect Winnisquam for girls. That should be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Interlake St. Thomas we've talked about. That should be competitive, hopefully. I don't know a whole lot about Franklin. I know they've recently moved into D4 for everything. That could very well be a competitive game.
We've never covered Groveton ever. Like, it's weird. Like, I had to, find the logo.
Yeah, there's just...
It's weird.
Unless you're going to cover Moultonborough or Franklin.
Right.
And for Franklin football, they're Division 4, but they're not playing the normal Division 4 schools.
Right.
Like, they're not playing the Grovetons and all those teams. Because those are just small schools. In basketball, most of those smaller schools have a team. So unless you're going to Moultonborough...
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere else around here is Division 2 or 3, so you're not going to get a lot of those prototypical D4s that never come up to D3.
Right, which I'm excited to cover Groveton. They're a new school for us. I found out their colors are purple, so that's pretty cool. Like, I'm excited. But
that's at Franklin, right?
Yeah, but it was just funny. I was like, wait, Groveton? I've covered a race up there. There's a racetrack up there.
Are they still playing at the middle school?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not a bad gym.
No.
It's been a while since I've been in there, though.
I'm excited. It'll be fun to get over to Franklin for some basketball. And, of course, being in that it's a doubleheader we were talking about earlier.
You're getting boys and girls. Yeah,
Yep.
you're getting boys and girls there. And that's one of the nice things. Division 3 should do it a little bit more often. Like, even if you're going to just take...
Well, there are a couple Division 3
if you're just going to take
doubleheaders.
just take 2 days. Right. And I know we generally do it sometimes with Moultonborough, where our JV teams will play one day, and then our varsity teams will play the next. So you're basically splitting it up so that you're not just girls one day, boys the next, because that kind of not necessarily waters it down fan base wise. But if you're playing girls one day, boys the next, the boys are showing up late because they're at practice.
Right.
And it's not necessarily like that same vibe if you play varsity, because or even JV, and then the next day varsity.
It's just like homecoming at Inch Lakes when it's 2 varsity games back to back. You have the people show up for the girls' game, and then they just stay for the boys' game, or they show up for the boys' game early to watch the girls' game. it truly is any homecoming, actually. You bring a tent, you camp out.
Yeah,
it's like going to a Patriots game.
Yeah, last year we had
no
this
tailgating.
This past fall we had the girls played first, and then we followed. But those are longer days because you have middle school first for 2, and then you have the girls or boys, then the girls and boys after. I mean, it's a great.
I will say, I think you guys, from what I've seen, you're one of the only schools to do that.
Yeah, we try.
Which, I mean, is great.
Yeah.
But,
we try to put an emphasis ever since we've become a middle high school a handful of years ago. I couldn't tell you when. They've tried to put a little bit more emphasis on inclusion of the middle school sport.
Right.
Like, we have to do that as a varsity coach. You're supposed to get down there a handful of times and work out with them and watch them play. And we did it a couple times this fall, not as much as I would have liked to. And the same thing with baseball. It's a little more difficult, just based on my job, really. So we've been trying to do a little bit more of that, bringing the middle school along so that they have a little bit more of an idea of like what high school life is like. Whether it's the game day, the game itself, the teams we play. Like, you're just trying to get them involved. The only other homecoming game I've ever coached against is Moultonboro. And so they do it a little bit differently because they don't put a lights on their field that day. They play the middle school games before, and then it's varsity the next day.
Gotcha.
Or
okay.
Sometimes they'll throw a JV game in there if we've had enough in the past. But I've never been a part of another homecoming experience. The hard part is I love the homecoming atmosphere. It's just disappointing that it's once a season or once a year.
Yeah.
Because you don't generally have that environment in the winter or in the spring unless it's a really big game or a playoff game. And not that it's unnecessarily fair to those other sports, but at the same time, it's like you kind of want to show off your winter sports and your spring sports. So it'd be nice to kind of like sit down and see if there's something we can do to get that same kind of buzz.
It's almost like
through the building because you want to try to.
I wonder if you could do something with the winter carnivals. Because you have that built-in holiday week, so and so, quote unquote, in February.
Usually, yeah.
So why couldn't you? I mean,
yeah, that's something I'll bring back into the. Not that I'm not necessarily involved in the winter. I just do the scoreboard for basketball.
But you're still a voice in the athletics.
Yeah, I mean we just started baseball workouts last week, so
right.
we're fully in depth now. So it'd be nice to just see like what brainstorm a little bit and see what we can do. Fall has homecoming, and that's a huge event.
Right.
That's a huge event. We gotta do a better job.
Right. I remember being at Belmont, and I think it was my Winter Carnival week, my junior year, whatever. Friday, they had a doubleheader, girls, boys, varsity. But the last block of the day, they had a unified game.
Yeah.
So they brought the whole school in to watch this unified basketball game, and it was fantastic because not only did the unified players feel like they were rock stars, but like the whole school was involved.
Unified was something I absolutely loved, and we haven't had it since COVID, honestly.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. There's a lot going on in here.
No, Vanderland and just went dancing across the behind the screen.
Got to get camera time. Yeah. We haven't had a unified team since probably COVID.
Yeah.
So we haven't been involved in that atmosphere as much. Those games are fantastic. The atmosphere is great. The kids are fantastic, both the athletes and the helpers. It's just a really good outlet to have. And I went over one of the first few times, like when it was starting to be big, was when they had that,
the jamboree.
The jamboree over at Belmont. Mm-hmm. And just to see and be a part of that was...
It's fantastic.
It's hard. It hits you in your feels, man. Just because it's that just shows you genuine, caring at the teenage level that you don't generally see all the time. And it's something good that...
And unified sports also provides, going off of the caring thing, kind of like the caring thing, is athletes walk into the gym, game face.
Yeah.
You seem like that. I don't want to say stone cold, but they're focused. Unified, completely different.
Yeah.
They're walking in, they realize, we're all here to have fun.
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great event and a great program, I should say, unified sports. And I can tell you, we'll jump ahead a little bit before we talk about our schedule, but we're trying to get some unified games on our schedule.
They're fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. We're trying. We're looking to add them. The issue we're running into is that usually unified games start at 3 o'clock.
It's a 3 o'clock start.
When the school gets out at 2:30.
Yep.
So it's for us. It's like, okay, well, that gives us a half an hour to set up.
Yeah.
Can we do that? And that's the one downside to it. But I also understand. It's the kids are already there. The students are already there.
You don't drag those ones out.
Yeah,
they start
you just
right away.
Start right away. Get the game through and done, and you're good to go. And usually, those nights there's also a varsity game tagged onto it.
Yeah, that's usually how you do it, or how we've done it in the past. And that's another thing that we talked about earlier about trying to broaden that homecoming atmosphere to other seasons.
Right.
And if you have your trio of games like that, you're getting a little bit of that. You're getting a little bit of that homecoming experience where you can kind of drag out, not necessarily the afternoon, but you can drag out the day to get to that point.
Right.
To kind of where you're showing off your athletic department as a whole.
Right.
Because that's what homecoming is. You get those kids obviously have a little bit extra fire behind them, but you're showing off your athletic department, good or bad.
Right.
Whether you're competitive or not, you still want to show it off, and because it's for the kids. It's not for the department itself, but we got to do a better job at showing off winter and spring.
No, I mean, for sure. And I think that there's definitely ideas out there. Like at Belmont, my junior and senior year, we tried doing this thing called Spring Fling, where basically it was like a homecoming type atmosphere, but in the spring. We brought in bounce houses, we had a dunk tank, we had a band, we had all these different things. And I think even we tried to tag on a couple athletic events. There's a baseball game or there was a lacrosse game or whatever. And I think that there's definitely something there. It's just difficult because when thinking about the schools, the first question is, okay, well, who's going to organize it?
It's a lot. It's
a homecoming thing is huge.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot. And also the other thing is it will take a couple years to have it catch. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying anybody's at fault here for this specifically, but that's a lot.
Yeah,
to have somebody say, hey, you need to commit to this for 4 years. Even if the first year it crashes and burns, you got to come back next year and try again.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't do anything the second year, you got to try it again. And then at that point, 3 years in, you're going, why am I doing this? Why am I doing all this extra work? Why am I doing this and why am I doing that? And that's and again, I don't blame anybody for that. I get it.
No,
that's tough.
At the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's the reason why you coach. You come back year after year for what? I mean, there are some coaches that do it for themselves. That's all. I mean, it's the way it is. You're doing it for record. You're doing it for stats. You're doing it for wins and losses, championships.
I mean, you're just reliving the glory days through your
There were no glory days for me in high school.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the other guy who usually sits here. That's Foley.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
But, at the end of the day, you're doing it. You're coaching for a reason. You're doing it for the kids.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. There have been times where I'm just I don't know how much longer I want to do this for. And then you think about, the guys that that have gone through the system and the kids that are in the program, the kids that might be coming through. That's the stuff that brings you back. And I know we're getting off task a little bit here, so I'll just leave it at that.
Not a problem. No, but I mean, you're right. But obviously that's a topic for another day. By the way, we see that there's a handful of people watching on Facebook Live right now. Feel free to comment, shoot us a message, tell us we're doing great or tell us we're not doing great. Be great to hear from you. So moving on, let us talk about our winter sports schedule. Now, before I even start, I want to say that I've only built the schedule through the end of January. Haven't done anything February yet. So that's why in the top part it says schedule not finished, because I don't want anyone at home right now going, you're only covering 13 girls basketball games? That doesn't include the month of February yet. So at this point, that's what we have. And the reason for that ultimately is cancellations, snow days, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave some room open. You got to be flexible for those rescheduling things.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I can sit down right now and bang out the rest of February, have a perfect schedule, and then by the week after Christmas, it's already thrown out of the window because, we don't have a JV team. Do you want to move the February game to today? Sure, let's do that. Okay, great. You know, and then all of a sudden, bam, now my February schedule looks like Swiss cheese. What we do know is that all Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes, and Belmont Guilford Bulldogs home hockey games are going to be covered here on DPPGnetwork.com. And I want to say thank you to the booster clubs for both those organizations for helping us out and supporting us, and they're hiring us to be there, and and I appreciate that because they see value in us, and they are saying, hey, you know what? What's your cost per game? We'll bring you in. Not to mention, it gives them game film, so they don't have to rely on the kid to go up in the stand with the iPad.
And we talked about it earlier about hockey parents being diehard and you sign up for it, but hockey rinks are cold.
Yes,
and if you can sit at home and watch the game and not have to go,
sit on the bleacher side with the heater right above you.
Exactly. Like unless you're up there, I mean. Laconia's rink's not bad. No. It's not a terribly cold arena, so it's not too bad. So most of those arenas would be packed. But I mean, if you're traveling a distance or the weather's kind of so-so, hop on DPPG. You can watch the whole thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
It's smart. It's a smart avenue to get into.
Yeah. I mean, and not to mention, we appreciate them because. I've said it time and time again. What we do, unfortunately, isn't free. And I don't want to ever get into that and be like, "Oh, we need money," but
you got to make the almighty dollar rules.
Well, yeah,
all.
I mean,
at the end of the day, you got to do it.
But I appreciate them, supporting us in the sense where, more so than sure you can come to our games. Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Like they're saying, sure, come here, and we'll come on over, and we'll take it that extra step.
I mean,
so
you and I have had the conversation. Whether it's soccer or baseball, I'm constantly blowing your phone up and be like, "Hey, we're going here today. blow off what you're doing. I need some game film. I want to
what your schedule is.
I want to watch and I go through and I watch our games again, of course. But I'm trying to get you to go to any game I can. I guess I'll have to get a booster club.
That's his winter project now. But no, I mean,
exactly.
For sure. I appreciate their booster clubs that ultimately started during the COVID season because they couldn't have people in there.
Yeah.
So they needed the live stream, and it's kind of stuck. So I appreciate that. But besides that, by the way, 9 home games for Belmont Guilford, 8 for Laconia, Winnisquam, Interlakes. So 17 total games as of this moment live streamed.
And those two teams probably play each other twice, so it's not like they're not going to get live streamed on either side. Because when they're the away team, they're still in the Laconia Ice Arena.
Yeah,
Merrill Fay, right?
Yeah, Merrill Fay Arena. Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to somebody about the BG schedule, and I'm like, yeah, we're only doing the home games. And they're like, well, you're doing one away game, and I was like. Technically, you're right. Technically, when you put on the away jersey and play at your home rink,
exactly,
we'll
you're in the same locker room you're always in.
So that'll be fun. As of right now, we have 13 girls basketball games and 12 boys basketball games between now and the end of January. Like I said, we're still working on the schedule. We're still working on building that schedule. Other possibilities and. I wrote this in for you to laugh at. Other possibilities and hopes is to add ski racing and indoor track. So
we talked about the seasonal things.
We're working on
it. I could help you on some indoor track. I know a little bit about it. Ski racing, you're on your own there.
Okay,
unless you're calling that from inside the building.
The hope
I would be okay with that.
I was gonna say the hope is. The hope is to put my 2 cameramen out in snowsuits and then have me sit in the lodge.
That's hazard pay.
That is the hope.
If any of your camera operators are listening right now, hazard pay if you're going to go sit on Gunstock in January at any time of day. Jeez.
Well, let's go back to what you just said. What are we doing this for? We're doing
That's
this
true.
for the kids.
Yeah. If I were you, I would just put a kid in a GoPro and call it from the lodge. And just be like, hey, don't fall. That's expensive.
Don't fall.
You know what I mean? Figure it out that way.
Yeah.
Or
bring back the GoPro at lunch.
Test out your wire cam.
We're talking with Gunstock. We're trying to work on the plan.
I think the wire cam is one of my favorite cameras of all time.
The wire cam
that needs to make another appearance here soon.
We are working on, and as a hockey fan, you're going to appreciate this, putting it into Merrill Fay Arena. So it would run the length of the ice over the crowd area, and it would get that side shot. So if you have a breakaway, from that side shot coming down the ice.
I mean,
so
I know
we're working on it.
I know you used it in a couple of our scrimmages last spring, and I mean it's just a different angle that you just don't get.
I was going to say, and you saw it in the early ages when I didn't know how to use the thing.
Yeah.
So now I actually understand it.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice camera.
Right. No, it's definitely wire cam will be making another appearance. But yeah, ski racing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just trying to include more, sports, and the reason you mentioned it earlier about getting into the niches and kind of building up something that's pretty cool. The way we did that is by looking at, who isn't covering what? Indoor track covered here and there by New Hampshire Track and Field, but more or less the championships.
Yeah, they're not doing any regular season stuff.
And if they are, it's the bigger regular season meets like the Wilderness at Guilford or something like that, and that's fine. And ski racing, college is doing it. Why aren't we? And I think half of it is cold, but also I think the other half of it would be
just downhill.
Most likely, yeah. So,
I mean, it's a little bit. I mean, Nordic is a lot more difficult to do because those are through the woods.
Nordic's like cross country running. We haven't figured that out, so we haven't figured out Nordic.
Exactly that, yeah.
But no, the idea is that these guys run or these guys race at 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. That's usually how the two races go. You'll have GS and then slalom.
Yeah,
I think
you said it right.
Clearly, I got to do some research. But anyways, so hopefully we can do it, and we're just working with Gunstock, and Gunstock's a little busy right now with getting the place open for their season.
Yeah,
so
we haven't had any.
So it's a little.
Knock on wood, we haven't gotten any snow.
Although they had opening day yesterday.
Did they?
Yep.
Yeah, it's cold enough to make it. But.
Yeah, they delayed it by 1 day, and then they were like, "Hey, we're here," and it was like, "Okay, great."
Hey, they got the technology to make it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
they can keep it doing that way.
They can keep making it. But anyways, and then of course indoor track. We've perfected it outside. Now we just got to put it inside.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what's really, and I don't, somebody at home right now is probably sitting there going, well, what's holding this up? Why haven't you made any official announcements?
There's not a lot of indoor track.
Well, not even that. It's just working with the other facilities.
Yeah.
All these athletic directors have given me the green light. Yeah, go cover ski racing. Go cover track. We'd love that. But now it's not, Rick Acalano saying, here's the keys to the gym.
Exactly. It's not your building. You've got to go to a...
Okay, great. Now you got to go talk to them.
Yeah, you're in a facility similar to this where you've got to reach out to ownership.
Exactly.
Or, management and figure out, hey, this is our plan. This is what we want to do. The schools have okayed it. What do you think?
Right. Exactly. And
they might tell you, no, that's absolutely unrealistic. Get out of here.
Right. Or
the almighty dollar talks.
Yep. Or they're just really, really busy. So it just takes that extra minute to get a hold of them.
Yeah. They just have more important things on their plate than this, unfortunately, because they got to run those events.
Right.
Those aren't something that's just like a basketball game. All right, our hoop's 10 feet tall and we've got 2 officials. Let's go. Kids will be here.
Exactly. They got to make sure that, for ski racing, they got to make sure that the track is groomed. They got to make sure the gates are put in correctly. They got to make sure the snow fence. Yeah, there's snow on the mountain. They got to make sure there's snow fencing around for crowd to not get involved. You got to make sure timing and scoring works. They got to make sure that the snowstorm last night didn't completely mess everything up. I get it.
Yeah, there's a lot going. There are a lot of variables in the winter.
And then with indoor track, we would be working mostly the ideas with Plymouth State.
Yeah, they're the only. I think are they the only one in the area that has an indoor facility?
They are them, UNH, and Dartmouth are the three. Yeah, so in the area, Plymouth
would be the only one. Yeah.
And it's working with them, which I've worked with them in the past. They're great. So it just, and I'll be honest, I haven't reached out to them yet. I got to give them the benefit. Got to be honest with them because I don't want anyone out there going, well, he hasn't reached out to us. Yeah, well, I haven't. I'm sorry.
He'll get there soon.
I'm dropping the ball. My bad. I got a little bit more, a couple other things on my plate.
Yeah, there's a few. There's just a lot going on.
Right. But, yeah, so that's the plan. Boys, girls basketball, ice hockey, and then hopefully by the end of the season, we'll have at least 1 or 2 indoor track meets and 1 or 2 ski races. You know, those two sports are in our JV program. It's the test and see, and then we'll add it more next year.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right.
You know, you can't. Some of those things you just can't jump into the deep end right off.
Oh, trust me, I want to.
Oh yeah, well.
All home ski races, done.
Yeah, Foley would be like, jump in.
Yeah, Foley would be like, full send, just go.
Exactly.
Let's go. But
I think he just sent a message in. He said he would volunteer to call all downhill ski races. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll make sure to put him out on the porch. He can't be in the be in the press box.
Just give him a headset and a
he could be the sideline reporter.
Yeah.
Where are you? I'm up on the mountain.
Yeah, put him on the top. Put him on the very top. Yep. He can interview the athletes before they go down there.
Perfect. I like the idea.
I'm glad you volunteered for that, Mike.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
D3 Boys Coach of the Year, ski racing enthusiast.
But yeah, so that's our plan. Obviously, like I said, our schedule, those stats only built up through the end of January at this moment. I'll get around to finishing up that schedule. But that's the plan right now. Obviously, keep it locked on our social media accounts for updates and things like that. And if anybody out there wants to pitch in and help us get the ski racing and indoor track a little bit more of a reality, feel free to reach out. It's not what you know, it's who you know, right? So if somebody out there is like, hey, my dad, sure, great, let's work, let's do this. Because I think the athletes definitely like it. I've talked to the ski racing guys from all over the Lakes region, and they're all ready. Like, they're like, that'd be so cool, you know. And of course, we would do it right. You know, we'd have 2 cameramen, so there'd be no delay and no awkward, like, switching from bottom to top and things like that. And I think it would be a lot of fun. Not to mention, I'm a huge racing fan.
If you do it, it's got to be smooth. So
yeah, like I said, not to mention I'm a huge racing fan. So trust me, when I have to analyze that accident, we're going in depth. Slow motion, you know, we're going to...
I don't think anybody wants to talk about accidents in ski racing.
No, but you know what I mean. You know.
Oh, yeah, no, I get you.
Pull out the pen, do, like, drawing on the screen, you know, like...
You'll be the John Madden of ski racing.
Here we go. Let's go. Anyways.
Why didn't we pull that out for the Division III semifinals?
Could you imagine? See, right here, this kick should have went here. Draws on arrow.
This area is right where Guilford's putting their PK, or their corner.
Yeah, right here. So, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun for sure. And like I said, keep it posted or keep it locked on our social media accounts and our website and all of that for all those updates.
Yeah.
So, cool. Before we move on to talking about the holiday tournament, any thoughts on what all that I just threw at, the opening week schedule and our winter schedule? And
the winter sports kind of start a little bit slower, so it's been a tougher talk, I guess. Not that this is tough to talk about, but there's just a lot of schools and a lot of places to go, and you do a really good job at trying to cover everybody as equally as possible. And that's valuable. I mean, there are coaches that value the filming that you do. So, I mean, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job at all because you're going from one building to the next. You got to carry all this equipment around. You let guys like me and Foley call games occasionally. I mean, I haven't seen you since that alumni tournament over at Laconia. I called like 4 or 5 games in a row, it seems like there. And it was fun, don't get me wrong. I look forward to getting involved in our next topic here, too.
All right, perfect. Well, moving on here to the Laconia, the Lakes region.
It's a beautiful segue, too.
Yeah, perfect. It was amazing. Hold on. What do I got to do?
The Christmas tournament brought to you by DPPG.
No. Oh, I thought you were going to say trade safe.
I was about to say trade safe.
Say, wait a minute.
Absolutely. We got to get our pitch in. I'm sure the next trade safe event is coming up in a week or two. We'd be remiss to not mention it.
Monthly card show,
The
right?
monthly card
March
show, yes.
Monthly card show.
If Foley might not be here in physical, but he's here in spirit, and we're going to make sure
he's here in thought.
Yep.
If
we're going to throw him on the mountain, the least we can do is mention trade safe.
If we're going to throw him on the mountain, we're going to give him a nice fluffy winter coat.
Yeah.
Well,
he can even put the trade safe logo on it if he wants.
There you go. If it's paying for him to be there.
Exactly.
Anyways, so the Lakes Region Holiday Basketball Tournament coming up on December 27, 28, 29 at Guilford High School and Middle School. They use both gyms during pool play as well as playoffs. We mentioned it earlier, but the schools involved are Guilford, Laconia, Newfound, Interlakes, Plymouth, Winnisquam, Prospect Mountain, and Kingswood. So eight schools, each of them putting out a girls and boys team. So you have, in theory, 16 total teams, 18 games across all 3 days. Obviously, Tuesday would be the pool play. Wednesday would be your playoffs, and then the championship games would be on Thursday.
Yep.
So your playoffs are on Wednesday, and then pool plays on Tuesday. Like I said, all games at the Guilford Middle High School, as well as all games will be live streamed here on DPPGnetwork.com for free. Last plug before I just send us to talk about this. We are still looking to add sponsors. There are sponsorship opportunities available to be seen during our broadcasts. Right now, we have it set for $200 gets you seen for everything. All 18 games, everything. And then, of course, we also do have presenting and instant replay sponsorship available, opportunities available too. So reach out to us today if you're interested. So there you go.
I mean, it's a good tournament. It's a really good tournament.
I'm excited. Did
you cover it last year too or no?
Last year it didn't happen.
Really?
Yeah, because of COVID.
Oh, yeah, it was shut down. Mm-hmm. It was shut down because of it. Yes, I do remember.
Yep. So we were supposed to be the tournament sponsor. We even got the shirts and everything. And then, because we're more or less that's one of our responsibilities as the tournament sponsor is the T-shirts and stuff. And we got them made. And I remember I walked into the school with 300-something T-shirts and bringing it in. And Rick looks at me and goes, we just canceled it.
Well, hopefully you didn't put a date on it.
We did, unfortunately. It said 2021. Those shirts will be available.
They'll be available for purchase.
Yeah, for purchase by the Booster Club, I believe.
$4 a piece.
No, actually, I think we're doing 2, but either way.
Oh, really? Donations are gladly accepted because now we bought another 300 shirts.
Oh, honestly, the new ones this year, they look great. They got a Christmas wreath on them. It's cool. It's got snowflakes. It's gray. It's actually pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it. But, no, it should be a great tournament. We covered 2019. We filmed the finals for that one, but that was it. We took some photos, and I did some sideline videoing, but for the most part, it was we just covered the finals. And then, of course, this year, we're doing everything.
I mean, you did – it's similar to the alumni tournament you just covered a couple weeks ago.
Well, we're doing more for this one. I
will
will say that. But
yeah, absolutely.
Similar
absolutely.
in the format and stuff,
at least with this, they're actually wearing legitimate jerseys that you can see. Not that they weren't in the alumni tournament, but it was tough to – it was just a little tougher to know each person, so that made it a little more difficult. I had a little bit better of a time because I knew some of those guys for a handful of those teams, so it made it easier. Mm-hmm. It's just going to be the same structure, so you're basically, here's Guilford Interlakes. They're going at it.
Right.
Cover the game over, take a quick little breather, get right back into the next one. Like it's going to be, I think, if that 603 United tournament for the alumni there, the Legends tournament. That was run really well, both with Cassie and Richie and you. Everything went smoothly, and the Laconia and the Guilford tournament is going to probably follow that same suit. So it'll be a really nice, venue. Are you split crewing that?
Yeah. So we will have 2 separate crews, cameraman, producer, and announcer in each gym. So basically, all the games will be announced. I'm actually trying to make it so that the first 2 days I don't work at all. Like, talk about the perks of being an owner, right?
Yep.
Send people to work, and then I get to talk and converse all day with different people. That's basically what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, you got to put the owner hat on at some point, right?
Yeah, exactly. But then, of course, for the finals, I'll be involved with that. I'll be the producer and the announcer for that, and we'll probably. I'm thinking the first 2 days will just be like basic live streams, some instant replays, scoreboard, things like that. But then the finals, I'll do the starting 5. I'll go all out for those because they're the championship games, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's the plan. The plan is, like I said, each will have 3-person crew for each gym for the 2 days, and we'll have an single announcer for each gym, and they'll announce the games, and it's four games per day per gym. So that crew is going to set up, and they're going to do they're going to do. I was going to say I'm trying to.
She was in the background of that one.
She was trying to. Yep, wait, hold on. There.
Hey, we got an extra headset. You want to come over and talk for a little bit?
We got the microphone for you. No, but the plan is, like I said, to have it so that, that crew covers the 4 games on Tuesday and 4 games on Wednesday, and it'll be a lot of fun. And like I said, although I'm saying I won't be working,
you'll be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
So if anybody at home's going, oh my goodness, something happens tech-wise, we're doomed. Don't worry.
Well,
you're going to see me run probably more in those 2 days than any other event. Devin, this broke. Okay, I'm on my way. Hold on. I'm running. But, no, it's like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. The plan is to do what we did with the Legends tournament where it's one live stream for the whole day. So all the games will be on one live stream. So it wouldn't necessarily be 18 different broadcasts. It would just be like one
all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a smarter way to do it. It's easier. You can pop in and out all day long to see games. I mean, this is going to be some really good basketball.
Right.
You've got Laconia, Plymouth, Kingswood are all Division 2s, and then you have the rest are Division 3s. It's going to be some good battles, both boys and girls.
Right. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of great. It's going to be a lot of great games. And clearly now you know why I'm not announcing, because I can't talk.
I know.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, December 27, 28, 29 at Guilford Middle High School. And definitely, if you're in the area, come check it out. It's a great event. Definitely great to come spectate.
You're going to see some dunks.
Yeah,
There's going to be some dunking involved.
Oh, yeah.
At least on the boys' side. I can't talk for the girls' side. There very well may be some dunking in that one as well. I mean, if you haven't watched a Guilford game in the last few years, they've got some absolute stupid length.
Well, I mean, Jalen Reese put up a dunk the other day.
Oh, God, they have so much height, and you can't coach that. I mean, there's going to be some high-flying dunks in that building. It's always fun in a high school game, man. Is Foley on board for Thursday? Have we talked? Has he fully confirmed into that?
So we'll talk about Thursday. He has not fully committed to it because he's still trying to figure out if he'll be traveling.
Oh, yes,
or not.
true. Christmas, yeah.
Whatever. But anyways, so on Thursday, talking about Thursday, and this is something new for us, and it's something we're going to try because we had a lot of people out there who said, you should do pregame interviews, you should do post-game interviews, you should do halftime interviews. They basically want us to take out this microphone and go up to, imagine this, going up to Coach Acalano at halftime. Hey, what do you think about this? I don't know how he would respond to that, but
it depends on how the first half went.
It depends on how the game's going. But he ultimately they're looking for that. So what we're gonna do for this championship day on Thursday is we're gonna take this lovely studio desk.
Yep.
Throw it in the trailer, drive it to Guilford, and we're going to do a pregame show and a halftime show for both games. It's going to be so much fun.
I can't wait.
It's going to be so much fun. And the plan is we'll have him and somebody, whether it be Coach Foley or somebody else, and that's just going to be your pre and post.
That's a shirt and tie event, right? Is that what we decided on?
Just between you and me, of course, yeah.
If we're gonna go full ESPN, we kind of almost have to.
Oh man, all right.
I'm just kidding.
You guys are gonna be standing there with these microphones. Hey, well, we're gonna make it look.
Can we get the DPPG Sports Show logo?
The logo on it?
Around
yeah,
it?
I mean, I'll work on that.
That would be.
I was gonna say I just picked up another one of these. So my plan is to have you guys hold the microphones.
That would be wild. Why behind this table?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
So the idea is that it will be me producing and announcing the games, and then I'll sit there and I'll say, hey, we're going to take a commercial break right after this, the whatever halftime report, and then you'll go to the commercial break, come back from the commercial break, and it's these guys, so the hope is that we'll make it as seamless as possible. And
it'll be seamless. If Foley is there, him and I will knock that one right out. Absolutely.
But it's funny. I was talking to Coach Acalano about this because obviously he's the tournament director, one of the tournament directors. Yep. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm thinking. And he was like, that's a lot of technology you're going to need to because we're going to put this in the corner of the gym. We're going to be up in the bleachers where I'm going to be producing everything from. And he's like, that's a lot. And I'm like,
Guilford's schools, their gym is huge. This thing's going to look like a student desk.
But that's what he's saying. Like, he was just like, you got a lot of room to cover, and I'm like, we cover soccer fields, dude. Your gym's nothing.
Oh, yeah,
like,
true.
I'm
Very true.
What you're looking for me to do, or what I'm looking to do, this is going to be simple. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, especially if we're on a wireless microphone,
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the plan.
If we're just holding it, I mean, there's.
Yeah, I mean, the plan. I was going to talk to this with you after the show, but we can put it on film for everyone to know that we're a nerd, or I'm a nerd. The plan is to have you on a wireless microphone, and then also wireless monitoring. So you'll be completely wireless to me up in the.
We're going big time
up in the
here
bleachers
at the DPPG network.
Yeah, I mean, because no joke, you guys are going to be in the corner, and I'm going to be producing what you're saying from right up in the bleachers. I'm not even going to be near you.
Foley would like that idea.
That's good. Get away.
Yeah, Devin all the way up in the bleachers.
Away from all of us.
Well, I got a buddy of mine who's blowing my phone up right now.
Oh, boy.
who's got full kinds of ideas for ski guys to reach out to. He's in charge of a couple of different league sponsorships, and he's just recently going to be opening up a little lunch diner here in the Laconia area. So
nice.
We might have added one to your basic sponsorship here.
Sweet.
Just based on the little bit of GSBL love that I have to give out as a legal obligation. Here we are in an elite sports academy, baseball, softball. I'd be remiss to not mention the Granite State Baseball League. It's an 18-plus organization, so he's president. Get a little love for that as well.
Sweet.
But we can get you some money there.
Sweet. That's what I like to hear. I was going to say, because as much as I never like to say this, all that I just mentioned, that requires some dough.
Oh, I know, exactly. I mean, if anyone, and there are some people behind us that are, peeping in on camera or here and there and waving, this is a significant setup. Between, I mean, I'm looking at, straight ahead, I'm looking at 3 cameras and a screen that I can see myself on, plus the headset and our behind-the-scenes audio equipment here, plus this trailer. I mean, your computer. There's some funds that are needed necessarily, and for the coach that just was like, Devin, come cover our games. Come cover our games. I don't care where it is. Drive up to Berlin to cover our game. So I'll help. If I know a few people, I'll reach out and see if we can get some more sponsorships for this. I mean, you got 16 teams in 8 schools over 3 days. I mean, I know you saw this. I saw the number over probably on Facebook or Instagram or whatnot of how many people per se are going to watch that. I mean, if you get 150 people watching a game, one out of the 8. Multiply that by 16. I mean, you're going to be seen. You're going to get your You're going to get your viewership, and at the end of the day, it's for the kids.
Yeah, and not to mention, the sponsorship. The basic is what I'm calling it, but the sponsorship includes, our broadcast, social media, and our website. It's all of us. Like it's not all of DPPG. It's not just $200 to get seen once.
Yeah, and if you're a little bit unsure, you're a little bit hesitant. If you're watching this broadcast or you're listening to it on the podcast form. In a day or two, reach out to Kevin Shaw.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he's not the busiest guy right now. I mean, it's real estate, but I mean, he's been a sponsor for years now, for season to season. If you're a little bit hesitant or you want a little more information, obviously reach out to Devin. If you want a business, perspective, Kevin's a great guy to talk to. I mean, you could pick his brain and be like, hey, what do you think? What are you getting your money's worth? I mean, if you watch any DPP network event, regardless of sport, Kevin Shaw is up all the time. Mm-hmm. And every other advertisement. I mean, I've seen the Lakes Region Community College through replays, and we talk about it in our in our pre and post. We talk about it in our play-by-play. Like, that's just part of the world that we're in now.
Right.
I mean, money. We've talked about it a handful of times. Money talks, and it's Guilford's world, and we're lucky to live in it.
Those two things. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, you're right, and it's we try and do our best to get that return on investment for these companies and make it worth it, and like, I think the number between social media, website, and our broadcast for those 3 days, I think it was 15 to 20,000 people, and that's of course across 8 communities, so here I am, I'm going to post this highlight of Jalen dunking, and it's going to get shared in Guilford. It's going to get shared in Gilmanton. And all of a sudden now, everybody's going to be sharing it. So point is like
it could very well end up on ESPN.
Yeah,
I mean, what are we doing here? We're going to get top plays.
Exactly.
Guilford High School.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Christmas tournament.
Like you never know, but also you have that guaranteed where we post a game day post or a schedule post, and it gets shared by all these schools. And so I post it, then all these 8 schools post it, and then 3 parents from those schools post it, and then all of a sudden, bam.
I mean, and teenagers are absolutely. I mean, they've got phones glued to their palms. I mean, any highlight from any game, good or bad. I mean, even if we get dunked on, the kids love it.
Right.
I mean, even if you're on the unfortunate side, like, hey, we get dunked on. That's sweet. It's still going to get shared.
Right.
It's still going to get seen. Like it's.
Well, I mean, our Instagram story, if I post something, whether it just be like, hey, we're doing the show tomorrow, or here's a funny highlight or something like that, within 5 minutes, we already have like 40 people looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like almost instantaneous, and it's insane. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But like, it's definitely something that I think the return on investment would definitely be there.
You're going to get seen. You're going to absolutely get seen. Your logo will be seen. Your business will be mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. And not to mention, you're helping us out. At the end of the day, I don't want anybody out there to think, oh, he's just money grabbing. No, that's not it at all.
Well, and
you're helping us out in the sense because everything your $200 check, well, that's going right to paying him for 4 games, or
we're going to get money in this?
Wait, that's awkward.
Foley, we're in. We're in.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like it's not like I'm sitting there saying I'm going to get $200. I'm paying this person $2,
exactly,
and I'm
exactly.
and I'm profiting.
And we joke. We've joked, and this is what our 3rd or 4th live stream, and we did 3 or 4 podcasts.
This is the 7th
before,
episode.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and we joke. Even when Foley's here about Trade Safe, who's not a sponsor.
Right.
He's not a sponsor.
He's not.
But we're still, it's still getting mentioned and it's still getting put out there. And if you're a paying sponsor, I'll wear a shirt with your logo on it if you want. Like, I'll do whatever. I mean, you're helping out the business. You're helping out the community.
Right.
The games are getting seen because at the end of the day, if there's no, it's like any youth sport. Youth sports are basically, recreational. And the only way they're put together is if you have, to keep the registration costs down, you've got to have some sponsors that are helping with team sponsors and buying equipment and stuff like that. And this is just a much more advanced recreational program,
right?
Because you're covering high school athletics now, or at some point, college or whatever whatever this avenue eventually ends up going into. You've got to be able to afford the things that do it to the best capable, way to get it done. I mean, eventually you want to get a highlight on ESPN.
Eventually.
If you can get one of those top 10 plays and it's like, the DPPG logo in the corner, like that's big time. And that's what we're looking for. And that's going to happen at the holiday tournament over at Guilford.
Of course. It's bound to happen. 18 games. It's got to happen at least once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, anytime Jalen touches the ball, I think it's...
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's... First of all, thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, I got you.
Appreciate that. No, it's. I think it's definitely, $200, 18 games, roughly $10 a game. I think it's 11 or something bucks a game. Like, look at it that way. I understand where the end of the year, things like that, it could get a little tight financially. Fiscal year ends, January or December 31st. I get it.
One more tax write-off for your company or business.
But I mean, yeah, there's that, and also like if you break it down to we're doing $11 a game. $11. I got that in my pocket right now. Like
spending that at Dunkin' Donuts in the morning.
Yeah. So definitely
or Roma Joe's, whatever we're doing here in the league.
Like I said, reach out to us if you have any questions. We also do have those presenting sponsors as well as an instant replay sponsorship opportunities available. There's only one presenting and one instant replay sponsorship available left. So if you're interested, reach out. I won't talk numbers on those. They're not ridiculous, but
I mean, they're going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, they're a little bit more, but
they're elite.
Exactly. So yeah, reach out to us today. We'd love to have a conversation with you. And even if it is just a conversation and it doesn't go anywhere, it's fine by me. Hey. At least, I love talking about it. I'll have the conversation with you, even if at the end of it you go, yeah, you know what, I'm sorry.
Maybe it's not for me right now.
Exactly. That's A-okay.
Yeah.
That is A-okay.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
But anyways, aside from the sponsorship stuff, that championship game is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to bring this out of Elite Sports Academy, set it up in the corner.
It's going to be big time.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. Have these guys courtside doing the pregame and postgame, or no, pregame and halftime.
Shirt and tie, ESPN.
I swear, if you guys walk in shirt and ties, I mean, I'm going to be wearing this.
I might.
I'm going to be wearing.
I might do it. We'll see.
I'm going to be wearing this Christmas blazer. Oh. So you're going to walk in, you're going to make the owner look like a fool.
I mean, you're in a jacket. You'll be much more dressy than we will. Depends on who's in it. If Interlake's, gets in there, boy.
Oh my!
Be head to toe IL like we are right now.
Geez.
Represent.
Yeah. But no, it should be a good game. Should be a fun tournament, I should say. And yeah, if you have any questions at all about our coverage or anything like that, definitely reach out to us, whether it be sponsorship related or not. We're happy to help out as much as we can. And yeah, so
another great show.
Yeah, exactly.
Another great show. I mean, it's an hour 45, but we talked about quite a bit, and
yeah,
that's a normal par for the course here at Elite Sports.
Exactly.
And look at this facility. I mean, come on.
I know. We tweaked our studio desk setup-wise, so now you're actually seeing the turf field a little bit more.
You have full infield work going on out here. Like, they're throwing the ball 100 miles an hour like it's April.
It's insane.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean,
and then
my guys aren't touching a ball, but
on Friday and Saturday nights, they have indoor softball games here with these guys, this age group. I'll let you in on a little secret. We're working towards covering those games. Just saying. We might see us here on a Friday night.
As long as it's after hoops, you might as well, right?
Exactly.
Coach your pockets a little bit.
Exactly. So, some of these Saturday hockey games, they're at 4 o'clock. We're done at 6. These guys start at 7. Let's get down here. Let's go.
From Merrill Fay. It's not that far.
Yeah, exactly.
25 minutes.
Yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a wire cam now and all that set up, but it's fine. We'll
just leave the wire cam in Merrill Fay.
Yeah, exactly. But no, in all seriousness, great facility here. We say it at the beginning, we say it at the end, and I want to say thank you to Elite Sports Academy for everything they do. This studio desk, the last show we did was the Monday before Thanksgiving. So that was 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, if you're
2 weeks ago.
Your Guilford title town.
Yeah. He says that with a little bit of anyways, with that Guilford title town.
Yeah, title town.
No, so this studio desk has been sitting here for 2 weeks, and it's been safe and sound. These guys here, Sarah and James, are fantastic, and I appreciate them and appreciate their support and everything. So, great facility as well. Definitely come check it out if you ever have a free moment.
We're gonna slap it. We gotta slap some Yankee logos on here somewhere on this green wall we've got going on.
My goodness.
I'll sneak one on and see what happens. Hey, we just got Judge back. Rondon's next.
Oh my God.
Carlos Correa.
I guess it is the sports show, so those are sports related.
I mean, come on. We've got to go all in at this point.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Red Sox lost Bogarts. I mean, it's a win-win-win-win-win for us.
Upcoming schedule for us here, by the way. We're planning to do another show next week on the 18th, and then after that, it's Christmas. No joke. Christmas Day is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll probably do the next show that might as well just do it post-championship.
Oh, well, I was thinking we'll probably either do it that or sometime midweek during the tournament. I even had the idea of maybe doing something in the gym pre-championship games if the desk is already going to be there. But I have to talk to Coach Acalano about that. So we'll see. If not, it would be the 18th, and then we will be back.
Probably after the new year.
Yeah, I think we'd be back the 8th because that following Sunday is
New Year's Day.
Yeah. So either way, definitely keep it posted on our social media accounts for our schedule when we're planning. Don't forget that there is an audio version of this show available on Apple Podcasts starting tomorrow, Monday. And yeah, so any final thoughts?
No, good luck to everyone who's participating. If you're looking to, help out, sponsor the tournament. It's a great cause. I mean, other than that, it's always fun to come down here.
Of course.
I can talk high school sports till the sun goes down.
By the way, we went almost an entire show without even recognizing it, but this is what's been on our desk. It's an award from the Revs United. We're the media partner of the year for them.
Shout out Corey Halverson.
Yeah.
Old Prospect Mountain soccer coach.
So we talked a little bit about it, I think, in the beginning.
Yeah.
But
award-winning DPPG.
Anyways, I had to bring light to it.
Foley
would be rolling his eyes right now, like, of course you're bringing that up.
He'd have taken the headset off and walked away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He would have been like, you know what, I'm done. But once again, hopefully we'll have Coach Foley back. It doesn't matter if he's here or not. We're still doing 2-hour-long shows. So
this episode brought to you by TradeSafe, monthly card show.
And donations for lights at Interlakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We forgot to mention that. We forgot to mention that.
No, we never forget. It's just on the back burner.
We'll bring it up come August.
It almost seems like that'll be the next time it comes up.
But anyways, for Dan Kernan, my name's Devin Poslesny. I want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. Until we see each other for the next sports show or whatever, don't forget, girls basketball at Prospect versus Winnisquam on Tuesday. Ice hockey for Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes versus Belmont Guilford. Boys basketball on Thursday at Interlakes against St. Thomas. A Friday night doubleheader at Franklin against Groveton for boys and girls. And then Saturday afternoon ice hockey between Belmont Guilford and Sanborn Epping. All those games can be seen live and on demand here on DPPGnetwork.com for free. But until we see each other for one of those events or another sports show or whenever, we hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Go Bills. Kickoff's at 1.
Happy holidays. Let's go.
Yeah, and happy holidays. So we'll see you all real soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See ya.